All right, what's going on, LBHT crew? We are here with our guy, Mr. J the Six. All right, so you know we're here to talk some Panthers. The Panthers had I would call a successful season. All right, they won the division. They had a very competitive game in the playoffs against the Rams. Fell a little short, but they show a lot of signs of optimism, and I believe, and I think my brothers here believe that if they make the right moves this offseason, not only can they repeat as division champions, they could really make a run starting next season.
Yeah, no need to hesitate. It was a fantastic season. They're set up. They got a nice little base set up. They got to add some talent to the roster, but in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of Panthers fans agree, they're going to own the South for the foreseeable future. Jay, how do you feel about this past season?
Up and down, roller coaster. 1 minute we beat the whoever was that number one team that week in the NFC. Next week we losing to the Saints.
Yeah,
and then we come to primetime games again. All the hype, all the interviews. The week prior, I think. We probably would have beat the Cowboys or a big team, just laid a dud. So a lot of
like the Packers or something like that,
Yeah, just a lot of inconsistencies, like you said, a lot of optimism, a lot of stuff we can hang our hat on, but we definitely would like to take a step further for sure.
Back in 2024, the Panthers fielded one of the worst defenses that the NFL has ever seen. Okay, and a big part of that was Derek Brown missing the season with an injury. He went out in the first game, was out the rest of the year. They came back in 2025, and they weren't a great defense by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. But they were much improved over 2024. They came back. They were 15th in points allowed per game. They were 15th in passing yards allowed per game. They were 20th in rushing yards per game, rushing yards allowed. So, they were kind of a middle of the pack defense, and that was without a lot of talent. They need help at edge. They need help at linebacker. They need some help at corner. Probably need a little help at safety. Probably could use a little help on the interior D-line. So I think that Evero did a pretty good job on that defense. In my opinion, the offense is in much worse shape right now. If you look at by the numbers, they had they 27th in points per game, 26th in passing yards, 19th in rushing yards. Bryce Young threw for 200 yards or more 4 times. That's not great. They had 300-yard rushers over the season. They had 2 games with a 100-yard receiver. So, they kind of, in my opinion, they need to really shore up that offense, add some playmakers, make sure that they keep the offensive line strong, and let Bryce kind of lead the way moving forward. And on the defensive side, I think they obviously need to add talent, but that's more of a whole unit approach. And I think they're going to have to kind of get by with whatever we can get with the non-premium assets this offseason.
Yeah, I would love for Dan and Brent, that whole entire front office, to focus more on offense. Like I said, defensively, we didn't do that bad, but obviously we need more. But I'm more worried about what are we going to do at left tackle. Yes, we need a wide receiver 3. We need Coker to stay healthy to be our wide receiver 2. We need Nalo to build off his offensive rookie of the year campaign. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, like I said, to keep the O-line strong, and that goes double for the left tackle due to Icky's unfortunate timely injury.
I think we can kind of just jump right in there, Jose. We're going to talk about who the Panthers need to re-sign this offseason, and I guess also, who we think they should be targeting potentially in free agency. Jay and I both kind of, laid out our own separate plans. So, Jay, I'll let you go ahead and kind of go through your vision for the Panthers offseason first, and who they need to bring back, who they need to cut, who needs to be extended, and whatnot.
You want to start with the Panthers cut or retain list?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Panthers, the players that you want to cut or retain. Let's get this started. Jay, so you go first.
All right. Everybody's been talking about it. I think me and I are in agreement. H.R. Robinson should be the first wave of people cut. Heavy cap hit, can save a whole lot. He's getting older. We have a few replacements in Cam Jackson. He should take a step next year. I went a little deeper, just trying to just get some more money because I would like to get Devin Lloyd or Trey Henderson or trade for Max Crosby. So like every million or $500,000 to me counted. But Chandler Zavala, he's been injury prone, and I don't fault him. But even when he's healthy, he just doesn't show anything. He doesn't show that he's progressing in any way. So might as well cut dead weight. It's not going to affect us in dead cap at all. So that's a double win. Damani Richardson, he never really saw the field once. No lengthy ransom. So I started to take over in the second half. Of course, we signed Trayvon Moehrig. He had a fantastic season. Exactly what we needed at the strong safety or box safety position. Going forward, I don't think he can fill the free safety role. I think we're going to sign back Nick Scott and look for a pick one of our draft picks, probably around the 5th round since we got two. Tommy Tremble. We had a tight end problem ever since Greg Olsen decided he wanted to play for the Seahawks. Ian Thomas didn't do anything. Of course, I don't think Tremble is a needle mover. J.C. Sanders either can't stay healthy or has stolen for hands at the wrong moment. The only one that's safe right now is the rookie. So rookie season, give him a pass. But we definitely need a dynamic, vertical threat all around. Not Travis Kelce but just something more
reliable.
Right. Yeah. So I'm not asking for Greg Olsen Part 2, but something more.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't mind it either.
Oh, right, of course.
Right. I do want to point out that we do have, if you're looking at the amount saved numbers here, we have some different numbers that we did get it from different sources. Jay, I forget what was the name of the site? Was it the GM site that lets you kind of?
I got it from
and draft and all that.
I got it from Jose. He was talking about with
it was stick to
the something.
What was that called? Stick to. They're gonna have to start paying us. Stick to the model.com.
Okay.
I have to point this out. They do not sponsor the show. I know we've mentioned them a few times, but if you want to sponsor us, holla at us, okay? At LBHTShow, wherever you can DM us, okay?
I used over the cap for mine here, so that's why you're seeing a difference in the numbers. Like Jay said, we both cut A'Shawn Robinson. I'd like to bring A'Shawn back. I thought he played well, but it's too much. It's too big a number, and they've just got other holes. Bobby Brown as well from that interior line. It's a nice chunk of cash that they can open up there, and like you said, they have some young guys that maybe they can come in and try to fill in. They also signed Wharton in free agency last year, so I think they'll be okay. Losing Robinson and Brown. Andy Dalton's got to go. I don't think that needs any explanation. Goodbye, Andrew. Thank you for your service, but goodbye. Tommy Tremble should have never been drafted. I mean, he made that one play, but you know how I feel about the Irish. Get him up out of here. Save some money. We brought in him, brought in Sanders, brought in Mitchell Evans. Still don't have a starting tight end. Not going to be sorry to see Tom. I mean, Tommy's fine, but it's too much. Again, it's too much. They can save a good amount of money. So unfortunately, Tommy has to go. But that's all well and good. That opens up some cash a little bit just from cutting guys who hopefully we can improve on, who weren't really living up to expectations. This next slide here shows who we might be able to restructure. Or
I just want to say before we move on, I want to double down on cutting Andy Dalton. Please get rid of this man. All right. Backup quarterbacks may not always provide a lot of value because they're backup quarterbacks, but they can definitely be a negative. All right.
My man tried to throw a pass and ended up flat on his back. There was no pressure. He just fell on his back. I don't understand how that happened. It's time to go. It's time to go.
All right. That Bills game was something else.
It was indeed.
He should have been cut right then and there. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, so this is the extend/restructure portion of the offseason where they can hopefully lower some cap hits, open up a little more money. Jay, go ahead and talk us through who you have here.
Yeah. Franchise cornerstone leader, Derek Brown. Obviously, he's not going anywhere, nor he should. Might as well just, like I said, restructure or stretch the money over his contract. Add a void year if you want to, push it to the limit. Because again, should never go anywhere. Should retire a Panther, or hopefully a Hall of Famer at the end. So yeah, might as well do that now. Taylor Moton, we just gave him a 2-year deal. Again, the cap hit is too high, so stretch it over that 2-year deal. Matter of fact, he's been the most consistent person on our team, so that goes without saying. And Damian Lewis, again, one of our better offensive linemen. Every team wants to keep a good offensive lineman long term anyway, so I think I've added a void year because why would you want him to go anywhere?
Yeah. So the offensive line is making a lot of money in Carolina. It's very, very well paid. So I agree on Derek Brown. They can open up a good chunk of money there. Robert Hunt, the other guard on the opposite side of Damian Lewis, I am restructuring him, opening up double digits there as well. And then Ike Ekwonu, we mentioned he had a pretty serious injury end of the season. His contract's almost up, so this would be an extension. And I know people are probably saying, why would you extend him? He hasn't really, he played well last season, but he hasn't 100% locked down that left tackle spot in the future. My rationale here is that he's going to be on the team for the next 2 years anyway, right? He's going to be hurt most, if not all, of next season, and then they're going to give him the following year to try to prove that he's back from that injury. If they can extend him, give him some financial security right up front, and then give them some cap relief right now, and if you have a 4-year or a new contract of 4 years, you're going to have an out after a couple of years anyway. That's just how NFL contracts work. And if he comes back and he plays well, he can continue on with that deal. If not, they can get out of it and find a new left tackle there. But hopefully Ike is the guy. And, I think he would be amenable to taking some extra money up front right now after that injury, with them showing a little good faith in him. And they can get that cap number down because I think it's right around 17 million right now. So they can take a good amount off of that and put it towards some much needed upgrades this offseason. Okay, so I think that's all we had for the re-signing. Next up, well, actually no, this is for the extending and restructuring. Next up is who needs to be re-signed. The numbers that you're seeing here are kind of projected first-year cap hits. Now, we're not capologists, obviously. No. This is not our job. So we're kind of, using existing contracts for players at the position around, what these guys are projected to make and what those first-year cap hits were. See who they might be able to fit under fit into their cap room this offseason. Right. So I'll go through mine and then we'll obviously go to yours. I'll go through this real quick. Christian Roseboom. He was a starting linebacker all year. He's an all right player, decent player. He's somebody that you want to upgrade from, but I don't think you want to go into the offseason or the free agency and the draft with the cupboard completely bare. So if they can get Christian Roseboom back on a reasonable deal, I think he should come back. Joshua Nijman, or is it Nijman or Nijman? I always thought it was Nijman, but
I think it is Nijman.
Okay. If they can get him back at a first-year cap hit of $5 million, he's going to have to play quite a bit next season. He's looking like the starting left tackle as of right now. Right. He played well in relief last year. He played well in relief in Green Bay. That's why they brought him in to begin with. So they're going to be leaning on him next year. I think he definitely has to come back. You don't want to go into, like I said, free agency and the draft not having any answer at that left tackle spot. Gibson, he can come back on a minimum deal. All these $1 million deals, these are kind of minimum type deals. He's a depth edge rusher. They obviously need to get better there, but he gives them a little security. But I think getting Pat Jones back along with their 2 high draft picks from last year, they should be pretty good there, but you always want to have that depth as well. Jalen Coker, look, man, I'm sorry, but you're an exclusive rights free agent, and we're not going to talk big numbers this year. You got to wait one more season, bro. One more year. I'm sorry, Jalen. Brady Christensen, I was shocked that he came back this season. I thought that he would have been priced out of Carolina. Hopefully they can keep him as a top backup, this season. A couple of these guys, LeBron Ray, Sam Martin, their punter, Bryson Tremaine, Isaiah Simmons, Chris Barnes. These guys are obviously depth on the team, and I think that they, prove their worth, and they're worth bringing back. Nick Scott, but I was front and center on the get him the hell out of our lineup train. But he listen, he played well. He earned his spot throughout the year. Again, I think they should bring him back as long as they can, come to terms on a reasonable contract. Caleb Evans, same thing, kind of a depth piece. And then they have the rookie pool for $12 million. Look, Carolina, they were an 8-win team. We went over their offensive and defensive ranks from this past season. There's not a lot of guys who absolutely have to come back, right? Because they're not a super talented roster. But I think that these are the guys who I would try to bring back at the at a low cost, and then kind of move on from there.
For a split second, I was about to ask you, who's rookie pool?
Rookie pool is pretty good. That $12 million cap hit that's big.
I was like, man,
listen, rookie pool he's gonna fill a lot of holes for us next year. All right, so that's an important.
All right, Jay, what you got here?
For me, obviously, like you said, Jalen Coker, $1 million, take it or leave it. Stay healthy. That's my biggest concern. You have the talent. You've shown that you can win against majority cornerbacks, and the number one thing, you got Bryce's trust. If Bryce is scrambling for some reason, and if for some reason Nalo is covered, it's coming right to you. And he showed that within his radius, he showed he can high point the ball. He showed he can properly catch on the sideline. That's something we were missing heavily from Jonathan Mingo and Nick Gale. Jesus Christ. Nyman, like Brodny said, he's probably, if they can come to terms, he's probably going to be starting for a majority of the year. Didn't play bad, didn't play good, but just solid enough. Like, hey, don't get Bryce killed, and just keep the chains moving. Jake Herhan, kind of like I think he's brought off the practice, either the practice squad or just one of those like kind of bottom of the barrels like signings. But I think he could be effective toward his O-line. Over the years, we have some very bad luck when it comes to health in the O-line. So definitely need solid players all around. I hope that Robert Hunt just fully heals and just has a bounce back season. So I hope, but just in case something happens to anywhere else, because I don't think we're going to be bringing back Austin Corbett because he's been injured for two or 3 years in a row. Brady Christensen, I think this is his second year in a row being out for the season. So us death means a lot. JJ Jansen, the GOAT, been on the Panthers almost longer than I've been alive. So
I think they already re-signed him.
Yeah, they did. So
already, so
18 years. That's outstanding. But he was never going anywhere. So there is no doubt in my mind. Isaiah Simmons, some potential there. If people for the people that didn't remember, some Panthers fans and analysts wanted the Panthers to select Isaiah Simmons over Derrick Brown. Look how that
that's what I thought.
And look how that turned out. Funny how life works. Come full circle. But he was excellent on special teams. I forgot what team he was against, but he had that block punt. So that shows the athleticism. He said he wants to, if he were to come back here, it would be at free safety. I'm not so sure about that, but we do need the competition because Nick Scott is getting older. Yes, he knows the system. Yes, he's Evero's right-hand man. But we need some fluctuation of talent. And I believe he can help with that a little bit. Kind of be like this team's version of Sam Franklin, in a way. You have some spark starts if something were to happen. And Sam Martin, I mean, he's a special teamer. He's a punter. It worked out for us last year. Let's just sign him to whatever. Nothing egregious because he is 36 years old, I believe. But yeah, he worked out for us. It's kind of hard to find, decent, punters and kickers in this day and age where the magnitude of special team is getting bigger. Now, especially with the league rules changing, the importance of pinning your opponent inside the 20. You can't just kick it, in the end zone because that's going to move them up to the 25 or 30-yard line. So all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next up, we're going to be talking about who should be targeted early on in free agency, kind of that first, second wave. Obviously they're going to sign other guys to fill out the roster, but we're not going to really, be projecting that too much here. We're talking about the kind of impact signings, and after that, the re-signing phase, who we decided to cut, who we decided to bring back. It's still, for me, bringing in difference makers on the offensive side of the ball, right? Like they need another pass catcher. Obviously, they need somebody in the backfield. We didn't bring back Rico Dowdle, either one of us. So he's gone. Chuba is there. Jonathan Brooks is coming back off of a couple torn ACLs, but you don't know what you have in him.
Yeah.
So and typically in free agency, you don't see a lot of starting quality talent on the O-line. Teams do not like to let go of really good offensive linemen unless you're Cleveland, and then let's say all of you get out. We're going to try something new over here. We're going to try and get Shador killed, so all y'all need to go. But yeah, so if we're kind of going to rebuild the O-line, you kind of want to do that in the draft, especially in Carolina. You want to lower the cost a bit of what they're spending on the O-line right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so free agency, I think, at least myself, I kind of focused on getting guys who can help put the ball in the end zone, or at least move the ball more consistently. But we can go ahead and bring up the slide here.
All right, so we have our free agent list. We'll start with our man Jay here. Jay, who do you like in free agency here?
For me, I just wanted to sign. I went on the defensive side of the ball. Big splash. Just get out the way. Devin Lloyd had a fantastic 2025 season. Overpriced himself with the Jaguars. I think they should try to bring him back, but I think it'd just be too much. And then looking at if they do go the route that either B or I kind of created with the restructuring and the cutting, they should have enough to go after Devin Lloyd, who should be around. I think I want to say Fred Warner is the top linebacker, paid linebacker in the league, and then he's sitting around 21, 22 million. So if you give Devin Lloyd about 19, 20 million to be our starting Mike or inside linebackers, to where Trevon Wallace doesn't have to be dependent upon. He can learn. He can just. I hope so. I'm not saying he's not like an AJ Klein. God, I miss him. But he just definitely not being in the spotlight. I think Devin Lloyd can honestly add to our lineage of great linebackers. I think Carolina desperately needs to get back to that, because every great team we had, linebacker core, and Devin Lloyd can be the start of that.
Yeah, Dan Morgan, John Beeson, Luke Kuechly, and Thomas Davis. Like, yeah, they love starting right there in the middle. Mm-hmm. Looking at it right now, yeah, Fred Warner, top in the league in terms of average per year at $21 million a year. Roquan at 20. You're not really getting for 20 what the Niners are getting for 21 with Fred.
At all.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate right there. But yeah, so no. Absolutely a huge need for Carolina is that linebacker spot. They are just barren right there. They've got a great player, Derek Brown, up front. They got a really good guy in J.C. Horn, good safety in Merrick, and just in between, it's just nothing. Just nothing.
Hey,
What do they
we're not
say?
going to disrespect Rose Boom. Okay,
Nothing but open field and opportunity, right?
not going to disrespect Rose Boom. Made a couple plays for y'all.
He did.
Yeah, I think he led the team in tackles, I believe, too.
Yeah. Well, listen. When you're the only one out there chasing,
sure. Yeah.
You know,
He reminded me of Josie Jewell the year before. Like he made some key plays for y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I don't want to disrespect Christian Roseboom. He went out there and played hard. He played well enough. It's just they do have to get better at that spot.
Yes,
we do.
So looking at my list here, I'm going to jump around a little bit. Trey Lance, I like as a backup quarterback option. I think there's still a lot of potential there. He's gotten to sit for a few years and kind of develop. I don't think that teams are going to give him a look as a starter this offseason. So, if they're able to bring him in, I think that'd be pretty good for Carolina. Travis Etienne down there at the bottom, he is the running back in Jacksonville right now. I think that they are going to let him walk. They've got Bashul Tutin, and then they've got a lot of talent at wide receiver. They're kind of morphing more to a passing team. I don't think that they want to pay Travis. Obviously, his brother is on the roster already in Carolina. This is kind of dependent on what we see with Jonathan Brooks or what they feel about Jonathan Brooks, right? Because, we're not in the building. We don't know how he's doing physically, what the prognosis is there. Hopefully, he can come back and get to 100% and avoid any major injuries in the future. But if not, you can bring in a guy like Travis and still have a great backfield with him and Chuba. Up at the top or in the middle there, Arden Key. He was from the Titans. Just another solid depth piece at edge rusher. Somebody to add depth on all along the D-line. A solid veteran player I don't think is going to cost too much. Quincy Williams, kind of the same, a solid linebacker, solid inside linebacker. These aren't guys who I feel like are going to come in and transform the defense, but guys who can kind of bring them or help them maintain being like a middle of the pack group, right? Which is where they need to be. And then we can kind of work on the offense, which you see with the top pick here, Isaiah Likely, who should be back in Baltimore. He's the best tight end on the roster, but they've already paid Mark Andrews $13 million a year.
Yeah.
Now, the sites that I've looked at, Over the Cap had him projected at $6 million a year for Isaiah Likely. Pro Football Focus had him as like the 82nd or 83rd best free agent. So, it seems like the media doesn't see him as a priority kind of free agent. I'm saying my guess is that he's going to come in right around that same number as Mark Andrews, right around that $13 million a year, and then Carolina could hopefully get that down for the first year hit. But he gives them a solid pass catcher, a reliable pass catcher, a veteran who can play. Like I said, they have three guys at that spot right now, and none of them are starters. Isaiah Likely has shown in spots that he can be a difference-making pass catcher for an offense, and he won't have to worry about being the number one or even necessarily the number two receiver in Carolina. You got Teteroa, you got Jalen Coker, and if they can get him in there and get Bryce just another reliable target, I think you'll see the offense really start to gain that consistency that they're lacking, because that's a big part of it is they're young, but another part is I don't think that Dave Canales really trusts the offense enough to let them go out there and kind of really push to move the ball downfield. I think they play very conservatively, and it's understandable when your best receiver in Teteroa has a lot of drop issues, right? You had a lot of missed time all across the O-line, right? Your running back situation was not great last year. Chuba missed a few games. Rico Dowdle had the big splash, and then he kind of faded. No starting tight end. And then Bryce was a bit up and down himself, right? So I think there was a little bit of a lack of trust. They kind of tried to stay conservative, keep themselves in games until the fourth quarter, until they absolutely had to move the ball and score. And then they're like, all right, Bryce, throw it down the field. And funny enough, I should have uploaded it. Bryce Young is actually the best deep thrower in the NFL in 2025. So, maybe do it more, Dave. I think Dave did a good job. I think they have the right coach there. But listen, trust Bryce a little bit more. go ahead and get some more weapons on the offense and let those guys open it up. And I think the game will be a lot easier.
All right. Well, there you have it. All right. So that's just a little breakdown of what we think that the Panthers should be focusing on this offseason. We'll get into some rookie breakdowns as the combine takes place and rookie evaluations and mock drafts and all that good stuff happen. We'll we get closer to the draft. We'll take a look at what the Panthers should be doing there. But that's it for this one. Stay tuned for more Panthers updates as they come out.